in Australia, there is a competition to which it's held once a year. The competition is called the Ultra Marathon, to which runners from all over the country once a year run this race. This race is extremely grueling because runners are running from Sydney to Melbourne in Australia, which is 543 miles of running a path, straight from one city to another. World-class athletes come, usually 30 years and younger, usually sponsored by Nike and Adidas and New Balance, come because they're professionals. They're ready to run this grueling type of race. In 1983, Cliff Young got into the race. By looking at him, he did not look impressive. He did not look sharp. People who are professional runners already knew that he wasn't a person that belonged in this event. It didn't even matter to Cliff. He still was ready to run. Somebody asked him, "What do you think you would do? I don't know if you're able to run this type of race. Are you sure you're able to handle this kind of grueling race? You know it's going to Sydney to Melbourne. It's 543 miles. Cliff responded with no hesitation. He said, listen, I'm a farm boy. I grew up with my mom and dad, and one of my responsibilities was to capture and gather all of the sheep and put them in the fence pen. 2,000 sheep on 2,000 acres of land. And sometimes it would take me 2 or 3 days, but after a while I would gather them all together. And I feel like that if I could do this, I can run this race. The gun sounded, and the runners went off. As the runners went, obviously, and by expectation, the world-class runners were way ahead of Cliff. When Cliff started running, he had this strange running, shuffling style. Commentators and people on the news saw him trying to run in this very weird shuffling gait. And people were laughing and mocking at him. But it really didn't matter to Cliff. He just kept on running. It's a grueling match. It takes about 5 days of running. And one of the ways that you prepare yourself to really get the most and the maximum out of this race to compete to win, in 5 days you run for 18 hours and you sleep for 6. Every runner knew that fact. Every runner, world class. Everybody except Cliff. Cliff just kept on running. By the time the news commentators had caught up with him, they found out as he was running that he had ran all night long. So while he was running, they asked him, "What is your plans? What is your strategy to compete in this race?" He said, "Well, since I found out that you're supposed to sleep and it takes about 4 or 5 days anyway, my strategy is I'm going to just keep on running without any sleep. That's my strategy." They really thought he was weird. He was out of his mind. They really thought he didn't know what he was doing. Strange, shuffling gait, planning not to sleep for the rest of the 4 days of this grueling 543 mile from Sydney to Melbourne road trip. But it really didn't matter to Cliff. He just kept on running. By the time it was all over with, when they finally caught with him on the 5th and last day of running competition, not only Cliff was still in the race, he was in the lead. And not only was he in the lead, but he ended up winning this 543-mile race with his shuffling gait. And not only did he win it, but yet he won it in world-class time. He had gotten $10,000 in prize money, which he didn't know that you were supposed to get, and he ended up giving his money to the other runners. which was a way of him saying that, I didn't know that this was a way of receiving money for something I enjoyed to do, and he was an honored icon for that act of kindness. Cliff Lee, when he entered the race, he was 61 years of age. When he started running his first race ever, he came to the race with overalls and work boots. It really don't matter what you look like. It really doesn't matter how old you are or if you're educated or on the farm. Keep running. It really don't matter what people say and what they think. Commentators do what they do. They comment. But they don't know that you're going to keep on running. So my encouragement is that no matter where you are, no matter what age, no matter what stage of life you are in, keep dreaming, keep believing, keep running. Thank you.
Yeah.